I'd be remiss to come to Hawaii in the middle of a COVID pandemic without mentioning some of the economic impacts that are being felt here, just like they are in the lower 48. And it is something to behold. Upon arriving here in Hawaii, we found a state with some of the highest levels of unemployment in the country. Joblessness rose to Great Depression levels in the spring following the shutdown orders that local authorities issued in March. In addition to the business closures and restrictions on large gatherings that were common across the U.S., Hawaii was also the first state to require out-of-state travelers to quarantine upon arrival. That scene represents a stark reversal from the time before COVID-19. Roughly 30,000 people arrived in Hawaii every day during 2019, although the number approached 40,000 during the summer travel season. That number has declined dramatically since the onset of the pandemic. During the initial lockdowns in the spring of this year, the number of daily arrivals dropped below 500 and have only risen slowly over the past months as the state slowly lifts restrictions. When we arrived here from the mainland, we came under a new rule that enabled people to come in if they test 72 hours before arrival. And we did a negative test in Florida and then boarded the plane and got here within 72 hours and were admitted. But if you didn't do that, under the old rule, you had to quarantine for 14 days. And nobody wanted to come to Hawaii and sit in their hotel room for 14 days. You couldn't go to a restaurant, you couldn't go to the beach, you couldn't go to any of the sites. You just had to come here and sit in your hotel room for 14 days. Not very inviting. We took a stroll through the town of LAHAINA on Maui. Normally it's a thriving, bustling center of activity. However, what we found was a ghost town, reminiscent of similar scenes throughout the lower 48 and many places in the world. Harvey and Holly reporting from the island of Maui in the South Pacific in the state of Hawaii.